Welcome to Five Stripe Weekly. Atlanta United dropped 3 points this past weekend in Philadelphia, but can the Five Stripes still finish the season strong? We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, Five Stripe fam. I'm AJ. This is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube or hop over from Facebook and subscribe. Not the result that we wanted, but in this first segment, we'll actually talk about how this frustrating loss might actually be a good thing for the Five Stripes going forward. And yes, it was 3-1 at the end of the day, but going in, we knew that we had to win, and Orlando basically had to lose against San Jose.
So do what they usually do.
Right, and so it seemingly for us, getting into the playoffs, this might have been a good day to actually do that, but. When you're going against another team that was pretty much tied for you in first, it maybe was going to be a tall order, especially with our away form, but and especially with your 8th match in the month. I mean, it's just it's a lot to ask of the team. So at the end of the day, you have 7 wins. In this month, I mean, it's
two cup wins.
2 cup wins.
Yeah, you lift 2 trophies, you win 7 games,
it's
you
really
play good football, and
bad.
you lose the last one going out. Yeah, it's frustrating, obviously, but I think for a lot of Atlanta United fans, when the final whistle went on Saturday, it wasn't the frustrated exasperation that we've expressed and felt, earlier this season. It was kind of one of those, whatever. Because I think watching the game, you realize the scoreline kind of deceived a little bit. We've had that in our favor before, but when you looked at the game, I think Atlanta United was just as good, if not better, than Philadelphia. Atlanta United was not playing at full strength, and Atlanta United was playing on an empty gas tank, and Philadelphia clearly had a lot more in the tank than Atlanta United did.
This was almost a cup final for them.
Yeah.
They were very much up for this match. I mean, pretty much, in terms of going into the match for them, they're thinking, okay, we're going against the reigning MLS champs. We're going against the team that if we beat them, we can vault into first. There's a lot on the line for them. They haven't, won a trophy yet. In that respect, it's kind of something that, they really are up for. And for us, after running on fumes now, pretty much.
Since it feels like July, really, because we've been playing pretty much twice a week since they got back.
Exactly.
From even that Seattle game, you had Seattle, then Houston midweek, and then you have a trip all the way out to LAFC. It's just been a really long time since that last international break, and it's come along at, I think, a good time, and we'll get into everyone who's gone and who's staying later on in the show. But, I mean, I think that what I took out of this game was watching Atlanta United play created loads of chances. Josef Martinez scores an incredible goal, again. And he, on another night, possibly could have had a hat trick or 4 goal. I mean, he had chances that fell his way that on another night, maybe he takes those. But up until the very end, which is when the game kind of got away from Atlanta United, they played better stuff. They controlled more of the ball. They kept playing the positive football that we've seen them playing since they switched that formation against Houston. And my personal opinion, what I got out of that match was, if Atlanta United is healthy and rested, I don't care whether it's at home or whether it's away, we're a better team than Philadelphia, and I think we can beat them. Even if it's in the playoffs, I'd prefer for that match to be here, obviously. But I walked out of that match feeling that even though Atlanta United lost 3-1, they're a better team than Philadelphia, and when they're fully fit, I think that Atlanta can beat them.
Yeah, I think in this formation that we switched to and the kind of ethos that we exude, pretty much playing on the front foot, I mean, I think, in this type of match, you could definitely see that throughout until we kind of hit that kind of speed bump that we proverbially hit. And, I mean, in terms of the chances, I mean, you have the Josef header that arguably probably, on a regular day he puts in. You have the chance on his left foot. That, I mean, did he milk it afterwards in terms of the injury, just because he kind of shanked it pretty badly? It happens. I mean, the striker, it's sometimes you just kind of have to go, when you do miss, you kind of have to how did I miss that badly? I must be injured.
To quote the great Gattuso, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
And Josef was both in this game, but the good, which we have to highlight, was really, really good.
Yeah.
Something about Atlanta United scoring team goals in Philly produces some of the most magical stuff. You can think last year to that excellent team goal that I believe Tito tucked away.
Finished,
And then this one, just the one touch to Nagbe, the one touch from Nagbe back over, then he goes around the keeper and then finishes. It was just, what can't this guy do? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, Atlanta lost, but he scored another incredible goal, and his streak is now getting into all-time historic levels of goal scoring.
Yeah, 13 straight MLS games that he scored in. Of course, he didn't score, in that other match in that tournament. Yeah, all right.
Whatever.
But
he had a couple rolled off for offside. It's fine. We won the cup. That's what matters.
Yeah. But in terms of for Josef Martinez, I mean, I think just the most impressive thing is to the touch around the keeper. That after doing all that, not getting like so excited, like he's just ice cold in front of goal.
Cool,
like he's
collected.
always like this, and so. Yeah, and it's one of those things where we just reiterated that there were some other chances that we probably should have put away, and on another night this would have been a wholly entirely different result. It could have been if we were up 2-1 or 2-0, it would be a completely different story. And then plus you have some kind of in terms of their Philly's goals.
Their second goal was incredible. I don't think that guy could ever hit the ball that good at that angle because Guzan slightly shielded it, comes in at the near post. Like it's a fantastic finish from an angle that I wouldn't expect someone in MLS to consistently finish. So good finish for that. The third goal, obviously, you're chasing the game and the legs are there, they're gone, it's open, it happens. But I think what's interesting is that you played this game without one of your best players again in Ezequiel Barco, and you have seen the results are just there. When he plays and you have your front three of Josef and Barco, the team's firing different. There's more space to execute.
I think that's the difference. Is like Barco being replaced by Hindman rather, and Pereira in place of Miram. Yeah, they're not maybe as match fit to really go the full 90, even though they're there.
And then you also have to think that the guy that you usually bring in to shut a game down, who would have come on in the 80th or so minute, and Jeff Lorenowitz is playing at center back to add that, So you would expect to bring him on, and maybe those goals won't happen if you have him coming on fresh and sitting in the middle and shielding the defense. But
it's also, sorry to cut you off again, it's that little bit of solidity that you kind of lack again because the back line is a little bit makeshift. A Pogba that had been playing with a little bit of regularity, there's that difference of the familiarity that you need, especially in a kind of game that, very back and forth, felt like a cup final in a sense. Both teams definitely, were going punch for punch and trying to, win it. So. Absolutely.
I don't want to dig too far into the stats because I'm not a biggest believer of them either, but the XG had Philly at 2.07 and Atlanta ended at 2.04. So it's just like, that's pretty damn even. Sometimes the ball goes your way, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
It didn't go Atlanta's way this past game, but hey, I mean, again, I think like you, me, and almost everyone else walked away going, it's not the worst thing in the world. They kind of erased that benefit of Atlanta having that game in hand and that we could have stretched a gap on them, but now Atlanta United can still continue to be in front, can still pass them in the table if we win that game in hand and continue to win games. And I think there's three teams racing for first place. It's us, it's
NYC,
them, and it's NYCFC, and we'll get into all that in the standings later on.
Yeah, definitely. But in terms of some of the negatives, which we kind of already talked about, the exhaustion, the fixture congestion, all that. But Brad Guzan sustaining kind of a just a kind of
kick to the face.
Kick to the face, sort of. Yeah, it's just basically a whole leg stomp, really.
Yeah, it wasn't nice.
Everywhere, just this whole area. I mean, it looked like some mad hickeys after the match, but I mean, it's just
like he was in high school.
Yeah, after like a nice hot date or something. But no, this was a cleat to the face, and so
definitely was not as enjoyable.
Yeah, so hopefully he's all right. He seemingly is okay with the U.S. men's national team, but you never like to see anybody get stomped on, and that's just like, oh, he was down for a minute. Yeah, I mean, he's just a warrior. Jesus, to be able to get up like that, from that, yeah, for sure. But getting into the post-match quotes, Frank de Boer, he actually was very positive about the effort from the boys in terms of he pretty much outlined there's so much fixture congestion. It's really hard to deal with. So he's actually proud of them for the efforts nonetheless. In terms of one of his quotes, I mean, on still having a chance to finish in first place, he says, I think NYCFC is an important decision. We have to wait. They have the best possibility to be on top. We have one game less than Philly. We can still be on top if we win that game. I have confidence that we will do after our 2-week break. I like the confidence. That's very positive from Frank de Boer in that respect of, still rallying the troops in that respect. Brad Guzan pretty much talked about on his team having tired legs. He said, I think it's clear to see that the guys were carrying some heavy legs, but again, it's not an excuse. We stand up to it. We own it. Philadelphia Union are a good team. Don't take anything away from them. They've got good players. This was always going to be a tough game, regardless of our schedule leading to it. We now need to make sure we recover and rest up mentally and physically. The final push of the last few games, the last few regular season games, we come with good results. Pretty straightforward there. I think that, in terms of no excuses made, that's kind of what you want to see from the team. Just, it is one of those things. We all know how many games that they played, and really without a whole lot of breaks, this reminded me, I think, of 2017 in September, essentially, when we played so many games at the Benz, and we played really, really well. But then at the end of it, you kind of, everybody sputters, I think, when you have to, pick yourself up after, 2-3 day break every single time. It's just really, really tough on players. So, it is what it is, but hopefully we don't have that swoon in September like they did in 2017. That's where hopefully that experience can pay off, and maybe it's more less practice, more time in the trainer's room and all that, and hopefully that can just kind of alleviate kind of that fatigue problem. But I don't think it comes all the way down to fatigue, though. It is a certain point where, it's kind of rearing its ugly head again, maybe the finishing chances. Like, we need other people in the team to finish their chances, not just Josef Martinez.
That's fair, but also the abundance of the chances did fall to your guy. And if you have a talisman like Josef Martinez and you're giving him those chances, you do expect him to score. But again, I'm not going to begrudge him or this team. For me, this is I'm not going to put it all in fatigue, but I think you could clearly see it there at the end. They finally did run out of gas, and there were some people who weren't as happy and suggested, should a Parkhurst have played? What more could have De Boer done to
Parkhurst was
rotate?
at home.
And it's like Parkhurst wasn't here. Some people were asking for Mo Adams, and it's like when you're chasing a game, he's not the player you bring on because he's not going to help you really going forward. He's a player you bring on if you're going to really try to lock something down. So the options, unfortunately, really haven't been there because in other matches, people suggest maybe you play Parkhurst to spell some of those guys. But as we've seen against Houston as well at the beginning of that game, when played as a left-sided center back, he's exposed for pace, and with the way that Atlanta United play, the fullbacks or the wingbacks are very, very aggressive, which means that your left and your right-sided center backs have to be able to deal in one-on-one situations. That's not something the captain can do anymore. That's not what he's best suited to do, and it does him a disservice to put him in a situation like that, and it does the team a disservice to try to play him there. So, unfortunately, with some of the injuries that Atlanta United had, there wasn't really the options for Frank de Boer to rotate. There's no backup for Julian Gressel, especially with Franco Escobar down. You only have Pereira and Miram on the left-hand side. So you're restricted in some of your options because of the rules in place to help you build your roster. Yes, if you expand that out, maybe you have a bit more quality depth where you can rotate. But as of right now, I don't think De Boer had much choice. Positives, though, you still have that game in hand on Philly, and there's a lot of season left, not a lot, but there's still a decent amount of season left to play. Pick yourself up, rest, recover, and kick on.
Yeah, and to add on that, maybe Tito Vichalba, if he had come on, if he had, he did come on, but it was a matter of, in terms of the kind of quality time that he would have had on the pitch, I mean, he hasn't had that. He pretty much isn't match fit.
No, and he still has questions about his knee because it was a knee concern. And yes, he is fit, but
the sharpness isn't.
If the sharpness isn't there, and if the player doesn't trust the knee to really play the way that we know Tito can play,
balls out,
then he's not going to be able to give you everything, and you're not going to see him have as much of an impact. So the 2 weeks here now can also be a benefit to him as well to continue hopefully getting that knee healthy because knee injuries can be very finicky.
Yeah, indeed. So to wrap up a bow on this match, I mean, it is a frustrating result, but at the end of the day, there were flashes of the positive signs that we've seen all month. It's just a matter of, I think, being able to have the legs at the end of the match is very vital for sure. You have to be able to see out a match the right way, and I think it was just being hindered, pretty clearly there. But getting into the news, our standings, we unfortunately have dropped to third.
Yes, we are sitting in third place right now on 48 points. NYCFC are on 50 with a game in hand on Atlanta United. And Phil, of course, are in first with 51, but NYCFC have 2 games in hand on them. What's interesting is the remaining fixtures that each of these teams has, because Atlanta United, with 6 games remaining, probably has, I'd say, the best run-in out of all the teams. You have 3 games at home, 3 games on the road. You have Columbus at home, you have San Jose at home, and you have a New England team on decision day. You also have to go on the road to NYCFC, on the road to FC Cincinnati, and on the road to Montreal. In my opinion, I think of those 6 games, you expect to win 5 of them. Every single one except NYCFC, which is the big one, because you should beat Cincinnati on the road because they're awful. Montreal is in a complete state of chaos right now, and you expect to win every single time you walk out at the bins. So your season really comes down to, can you beat NYCFC on the road? Because if you can, what's interesting is what happens the last day of the season, and that is Philadelphia Union are hosting NYCFC. Philly also have a tough run-in.
Yeah.
They've got to play LAFC still. Will Vela be there? Who knows? They also have Red Bulls. They also have to go all the way out to San Jose to play the Earthquakes. So there's still a good chance that Atlanta United, if they can win all 6 of those games, which is doable, then they can still finish in first place. So even though they're not in first right now, it's not all doom and gloom. The other teams still have a lot to play, and NYCFC is going to have to play a lot of midweek games in the coming weeks, and we know how that can take a lot out of a team. So it'll be a very interesting run-in. We'll have a few teams to keep an eye on, but it's a 3-horse race, but Atlanta United can still come out on top.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really interesting that final game is between NYCFC and Philadelphia Union.
We could be going for draw.
Exactly. And it'd be, I mean, it's just like, it's funny how, in terms of MLS schedule gods, that is an inadvertent stroke of genius, maybe. But
that'd have been like us playing Red Bull last year for on the final game of the season. Except I think both of these teams really want to finish first place because they don't want to come here. So there's a lot on the line there. So we'll see what happens. It'll be a very interesting remaining month of the regular season.
And getting into the magic number for us to get into the playoffs, Atlanta United. Our magic number is 2.
2 points from 6 matches. We can do this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can. And that's according to MLS Magic Number on Twitter. So yeah, we should be fine for the playoffs. It's just a matter of where we're gonna finish, and we just mentioned that above. But getting on to Josef Martinez being nominated for the MLS Goal of the Week
again. Just
have to
do what you gotta do. What we always do. We know what's gonna happen here.
I know it's not like a long range golazo or anything like that.
But it was just a.
It's the link-up play. It's the ice coldness in front of goal. It was
beautiful soccer. Let's be honest. It was just beautiful to watch.
Exactly. These are my favorite type of goals.
Yes, those team goals where it's just pass.
Yeah, one touch and this.
Oh,
yes, lovely. But so Ezequiel Barco will not join the Argentina U23s due to the muscle injury that he sustained before in the U.S. Open Cup. That is unfortunate for Barco, but I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall when he didn't travel to Philly. Is what it is. And Atlanta United forward Brandon Vasquez has joined the U.S. Men's National Team U23s, their camp in Chula Vista. Congrats to Vasquez. It's good to see him back into the conversation again because he had been kind of part of it in terms of the youth setup for the U.S. Men's National Team. But I think it's with his form when he was playing, I think he deserves that call out for sure. It's just a matter of hopefully you can break into the first team we'll see.
Kind of a similar situation with Miles Robinson with the men's national team. Got some pictures of him up now that him and wearing a U.S. men's national team.
Love to see
so
that.
Looks pretty good on him. I'd say it fits him pretty well.
I think so.
It fits him pretty good. Just come back fit, please.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just because I think in terms of our spine, very important.
Yeah,
very important.
So how about you just practice and not play?
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
And there's probably a good chance of that because it's kind of what it's going to be. I think with first choice center backs are probably going to be
that's
not him, unfortunately. But and also today was also WrestleMania's Golf Classic, or Julian Gressel's WrestleMania Golf Classic rather. And yeah, you saw the likes of LGP, Kratz, Parky, Larry, all there, just hanging out, playing. Gressel, I mean, in his story, in his IG story, it was like the thwack of the, what do you call it? The
Golf club?
Golf club, yes, thank you. Was not coming to me at all. But man, that sound is kind of like, yeah, I mean, legit. He's good really
at golf.
play.
He's good at golf.
And I hear he barely, if even, has a handicap.
No, I think he's a scratch golfer.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
I'm terrible at golf.
Yeah, he is.
Less said about that, the better.
He, put away a putt really, really easily. I mean, it's just like, dude is good. Dude is good at a lot of sports, apparently. So, it's just not fair. I mean, Jesus, Some people just have all the athletic talent
It's like
in the
they
world.
just pick up something. I had a friend of mine just picked up a golf club and he's out here like shooting 80s immediately, and I'm just like, I hate you. Or picks up a baseball bat and just all of a sudden, ting, and I'm just like, I can barely shoot like a free throw in basketball. Like,
wow, really?
Free throws are not my.
At your height?
I'm not a good free throw.
6'4".
I know. I was good at other. I could dunk a basketball.
Yeah,
Shaq was 7 feet and he couldn't shoot free throws.
Yo,
I'm not a good
6'4"
free
is
throw
different.
shooter. I'm not a good free throw. It's a mental thing. I was decent and now I'm trash. Like everyone who's ever played basketball with me past like the 10th grade knows I'm trash at free throws. I could dunk though.
Were you one of those guys that were like pretty tall and so you just use your height to
I was
kind of
good defense
body
and rebound, and again, I was a white guy who could dunk, so I looked good in warm-ups, and then I rode pine next to the coach all game. So it is what it is.
This makes a lot of sense now, actually.
Yep.
Like in terms of just the whole Tanner actually makes a
Look,
lot of sense.
white guys can dunk. I'm an example of that.
All right. Anyway, but so moving on from that, a man was seen in an Atlanta United jacket at the Liverpool Burnley game this weekend, and that was a hat tip to Reddit user efen1. But academy, he is an academy physio, according to Patrick Okonkwo in the DMs. And so, yeah, of course, the academy is there playing their games right now. They were visiting, Anfield. It looked beautiful. And yeah, it's great to see, still either way that, the Atlanta United badge is seen in kind of the world stage, and it's great.
The only thing that was bad to see that day was the fact that Liverpool won 3-0 on our way. Fun fact, Yamil Assad is not coming back to Atlanta United, like everyone's been saying for a long time. Sorry to crush those dreams, but it seems that he has signed a pre-contract with DC United. He will be eligible to play for their USL side, Luton United, for the rest of the season before joining the first team next season. So it looks like Yamil Assad is back with MLS, but unfortunately he will not be playing for Atlanta United again. It's kind of weird that it's like a pre-contract and he can't play this season, but I guess it's outside the transfer window now. But
and he's probably going to cost too much, and it's one of those.
Either way, it's good to see him with the team because he deserves it, but still, USL. I don't know if Atlanta to play Luton at the
No, we don't. No, we won't. So, but that's. I think it kind of wraps up one of the most bizarre situations for Yamil Assad. I mean, it's just like he pretty much didn't play this year. He hasn't played.
Just 2019
games.
didn't play.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude is clearly good enough. Like, I would be, in one sense, maybe like furious if I were him to just. I want to get some time.
He just hated it with Velez back in Argentina. And,
like that situation is just so poor and has deteriorated so bad that he just had to leave and sat for the entire year. That's
as a
insane.
professional athlete, that had to drive him insane.
Yeah, and
either way, looks like he's gonna have a team. So good for Yamil Assad because we know he's loved here.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see him back in the game in some way.
Indeed. But moving on to Atlanta United 2. Congrats to Bienvenu Kanekimana to getting into the Burundi's national team, and also George Campbell for getting into the United States U20 national team as well. Yeah, they also played Memphis 901 this past weekend. Unfortunately, lost, I believe, 2-1. Lagos Kunga played for Memphis. They, yeah, I mean, you know, I think Kunga getting meaningful minutes is fantastic. But yeah, LA United 2, I think, yeah, they ended their undefeated streak, I believe, their recent undefeated streak. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. They were on a good run, but it's just, you know.
It is what it is. So
yeah, LA United 2, you know, we talked about this at length. But yeah, so moving on from the news, let's get into buy or sell. And simply, we name a topic and we say if we buy or sell it. And so first topic is Ezequiel Barco, and not being in the Argentina U23s is actually a bad thing.
Sell. I'm glad he's not with Argentina U23s because he proved how good he was at the World Cup earlier this summer, where we lost him for a while. He's currently injured. He's shown what he can do, especially since he's been back with Atlanta United. I'd like to see him get fit because he'll be judged on how he finishes the rest of this regular season, and then seeing if he can get called up in the international break after the end of the season in November. I think that's important as well. This right now, I think he can show his stuff, and he's shown his wares. And if he continues to play the way that he's playing right now, he'll still earn himself a move in January. So I don't think this is critical for him, and I'm glad he's staying here so he can get fit and hopefully kick on for the rest of the season.
I actually buy that it's a bad thing for his match fitness, at least, because, yeah, I mean, he hasn't really been getting a ton of minutes. I mean, he really just kind of came on in the middle of the month, so he needs that kind of game time to really get sharp for the matches to end the season. And so for me, him not getting kind of that time that he maybe kind of missed through the injury and through you know, being away at with Argentina, the U20s. Yeah, I mean, I think he needs that sharpness to be able to kick on in the playoffs when we get there to you know, do what we know he can do in the regular season. So you know, I want him to rediscover that kind of form early on in the season, and I think you need to do that with game time. But next question for buy or sell. Miles Robinson will get over 20 U.S. men's national team caps in his career.
Buy. Yeah, buy. I think he'll do that. The way that he has improved this season has been remarkable. I don't think any of us, if you go back and check the footage, thought he would end up becoming this, and we're pretty questionable and skeptical after that first match in Herediano. But he consistently continues to improve every single match. He still has some things that he needs to work on. He still has a bit to grow in his game, and I think that sometimes when he's challenged, and you haven't seen a lot of guys physically challenge him, I think it would have been really interesting. I'm glad Zlatan didn't play, but had he matched up against Zlatan in that Galaxy match, that could have been very interesting. But he's improved a lot. I still worry that maybe a really big physical presence can maybe throw him off of his game a little bit, but his foot skills have gotten better, his positioning has gotten better, and now he's showing the ability to take guys on and dribble past them. So he's going to continue to improve athletically. He's like everything you could want in a center back. So we'll see what happens. But if he keeps improving at this rate, not only will he not be playing for Atlanta United, but he will always be playing for the U.S. men's national team, because I'd struggle to find a better center back.
Yeah, I also buy that, yeah, he'll get over 20 U.S. men's national team caps, but many more than that, I'm not sure, because, yeah, there are kind of more first choice center backs at the moment. Yeah, but center backs also, they can age a little bit more gracefully in that sense, so maybe he does have that kind of longer career ahead of him. Though, yes, he did kind of, yeah, he is, I believe, 24, I believe, so yeah, it is.
The men's national team's crap, so as far as I'm concerned, if he keeps playing better and earns himself a move to Europe, I would struggle to find someone who's playing in MLS or who's older who would deserve a place above him.
But it's also, yeah, I mean, one-on-one, I mean, who is going to beat Miles Robinson?
Right now, no one.
Yeah. No one in MLS, at least, anyway. But anyway, that does it for buy or sell and gets us to the mailbag. You guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from Lala Larson, or La Larson. Why is Frank forcing PT onto the team? He is not adapting well. Tata didn't force Barco. I'm not really sure if you're watching the past games.
Have you watched Atlanta United play since we switched to the 3-5-2 because Pity has been incredible, and funny enough, I think he's a performer of the month for Atlanta United for the month of August.
Yeah, at least Atlanta United just kind of announced that.
Yes.
Anyway,
so obviously Josef has all the goals, but Pity has been playing incredibly well. He has shown up in the big moments. He was fantastic against Club America. Thought he was very good in the U.S. Open Cup final. Obviously, he scored the winner, had a great goal. He's been really involved and freed up in this role because he doesn't have to defend, and he's allowed to now find the spaces that he likes to operate in and then get on the ball in areas where he can affect the team.
It's pretty much a free roll.
A free roll, which is fantastic, and De Boer's managed to figure out how it works within a system. And what he's done that Tata also did was switch to the 3-5-2 because he realized a system that both his team is comfortable in, but also allows him to play his three best players in the most effective way. Pity has shown that he is at his best when he's playing with both Josef and Barco, because the three of them, when they run forward, are about as dangerous as a front three as anyone in MLS, if not the most dangerous. So he's really improved. I think at the beginning of the season, yes, he was struggling. We talked about it a lot on this show. But as of now, he's playing well, and I think that he can play even better, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see that improvement towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, he's absolutely been unplayable this month, I feel like. I mean, he's, I think there's a reason why he's one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. I mean, he really is controlling the game for us. And yes.
He's getting physical, too. He's getting nasty.
Exactly.
He's throwing
Both
himself
sides of
into
the ball.
people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because of, he's more comfortable in this type of system where he does have to press, and he knows that's the type of game that he can play and is willing to play. And so, I don't think this was a take at all, unfortunately. Next question comes from Sheaves77. Do you think FDB should have picked a different lineup against Philadelphia?
I mean, the only thing that I would question would be Lorentz at the left center back, but I'm imagining, or right center back. I'm imagining that was because Pogba was probably knackered after that U.S. Open Cup game because it was a physically exhausting game. You didn't really have any other options there. Franco Escobar is not fully match fit yet. That's the only one, but I didn't think that Jeff necessarily played as badly as we've seen him play in that position. I just think that it kind of left you a bit short in midfield. Obviously, not having Barco hurts you as well, but I struggle to see how else you could have lined up going forward than how he did. So, honestly, I don't think really he could have done anything different aside from maybe starting Miram over Pereira. But again, Miram played in the U.S. Open Cup, so
you want to run that guy into the ground.
Yeah, and he's going on international duty as well around the world. So I don't really see how else he could have approached that game. And I'm not gonna put that on him for picking the wrong lineup. I think he picked the right lineup, and it just wasn't Atlanta United's night.
Yeah, I think in terms of this lineup for this match, maybe not an issue, but maybe for some of the other matches in terms of a little bit of rotation, like one guy here and there, it might unbalance the team a little bit, and you can't argue with the results, obviously. I mean, so it is tough. I mean, it's one of those, it's hard to kind of say there's any wrongdoing in the 11 at all against Philadelphia. But next question comes from Thomas Jeffels 1. Do you think FDB has done a better job at Atlanta so far than Tata did in his first season?
So that's a very interesting question, actually, that I think that you could look at multiple ways. But crazily enough, I'm going to say yes. There's different circumstances surrounding them. So Tata in a first season, there's a lot of learning going on. You're learning the league. The players are learning the league. You're learning to function as a team because it's a very unique situation to have an inaugural season. You have a stadium change. There's a lot that goes into that, which affects how that team performed. So in that situation, Frank de Boer has a team that's already MLS Cup champs. They know how to win. Right now, Frank de Boer is on pace to have more points than Tata Martino had in his first season, and he's already led the team to 2 titles. You've won the Campeones Cup. Obviously, you play on that because of what Tata Martino accomplished, but still won. And the U.S. Open Cup, which is something that Tata Martino didn't really care about, and you could see that in how the team played in those matches and the team that he picked. So I think yes, but at the same time, it's kind of a misleading question, and that's not a bad thing in that De Boer has a very different set of circumstances that he's performing in. So
the tools that he had to play with are a lot more refined now than what Tata had to deal with. He pretty much had to pick the tools and start sharpening from the very beginning, and it's kind of...
He had no toolbox. Well, he had an empty toolbox that he had to put tools in. Frank de Boer had a full toolbox and had to figure out how to build something with it.
Exactly, and so that's pretty much the major difference there. And in terms of, I think what might be better as a comparison would be Tata's second season versus FDB's first season, because that's really kind of a fair comparison, I feel like, because of 1 year leading up to another. But next question comes from Lil Danny 1408. Do you think Tito Villalba should be given more playing time?
So right now, the situation with Tito Villalba, I was recently speaking with Felipe Cardenas from The Athletic, and he was talking about how, yeah, Tito, it was a bad knee injury, and it wasn't really talked about as much because that's what happens when players are recovering, and he's still not super comfortable with that knee. So that's something that if a player is honest with the team and is telling you that, yes, I am one who's very much adamant that I think Tito should play more, but at the same time, if the player isn't confident in something, you're not going to force him into a bad situation, and I think that it's better to take it slowly and to make sure he is healthy and he's not going to do any more damage to that knee than it is to push him in there and try to get him to get something for you. So hopefully, again, with these 2 more weeks, he can recover and build up that trust and get more fit so that when that push comes at the end of the season, he will be fit and we will see more minutes from Tito Villalba because he is a weapon that Atlanta United has. Really, not a lot of other MLS teams have the quality that he has. So
yeah, I mean,
we'll see what happens.
He's definitely a starting level player in MLS, and if you are able to bring him off the bench, that is kind of crazy in terms of a weapon and the danger that he can bring, getting him behind or even just you lob a ball over the top and he can run onto it like nobody in the league. It's super useful, I think, and especially to kill off a game. That's how you do it. And yeah, I mean, that's the shame right now is that, yes, he's not able to get the match fitness that he requires because, yeah, he's uncomfortable with the knee at the moment. So,
and also, without being like negative, you're not going to really change the formation you're playing right now with PD, Josef, and Barco when they're all fit. He doesn't start over them because they offer a balance in possession that Tito doesn't offer you. He's much more of a direct player that can run at people and make something happen. And I don't know who you'd bench right now. And he's not going to play wing back for you, so the system also doesn't necessarily fit him either, which is why he's coming on as the sub.
Right. Last question comes from ATL Sergio 85. What is y'all's favorite? What is y'all guys' favorite formation?
Right now, for Atlanta United, 3-5-2. I'm done. I ran it about 4-3-3 in the past. That shit didn't work. This shit works. I'm with 3-5-2 all the way for Atlanta United.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of Atlanta United, I think is probably what he's talking about, but maybe he's talking about like in general.
If we're talking about Manchester United, then I think that we should start playing a 4-3-3 in order to free up Pogba. We're not doing that.
But yeah, in terms of favorite formation, it's really what fits all the best players in the most winning formation. That's really what I'm happy with. And so 3-5-2 is clearly it. You fit Gressel as a right wing back. You have Miram on the left side doing pretty much kind of what Gressel's doing in that sense too. Having Josef and PT up top, Barco doing a little bit of that dirty work, but also being the 10. Really, and Nagby just doing exactly what he does, controlling and bossing the game. It's just hard pressed to find a better formation.
But if we're speaking in generalities, in terms of how we individually like watching the game played, I do like 4-3-3. I think it's flexible, and I'm not going to get into a tactic session with you, but I like it because you can do a lot with it. And if you look through history, a lot of the most successful sides have played 4-3-3 in order to get there. So that's to give you an answer outside of Atlanta United. That's my favorite formation.
Yeah, I actually really favor the 3-5-2 in a lot of ways, or even like a maybe modified like 3-4-1-2 even in that sense where it's just like it's a little flatter maybe, but
kind of what Atlanta United do a little bit.
Exactly, and I think it just depends on how you're going to play, obviously, but you have that solidity, and really for MLS. The fact that our center backs are as quick as they are,
as good on the ball as they are,
that really allows us to be able to play this formation the way we do.
Because I think it was LGP that said it, is since they switched formations to the 3-5-2, despite having, in theory, more defenders on the pitch, you're actually allowing yourselves to have more attacking players. It just depends on that. The weapons and the players you have determine what system you can play. And right now, the system's working for Atlanta United. And really, for whatever formation you want, it's what's going to get the best out of the players that you have. And right now, that's what we've got going for us. So 3-5-2 all the way.
And that does it for the mailbag and gets us to our question of the day.
And guys, Josef Martinez has been scoring goals by the bucket load, scoring in 13 straight matches. He's got 18 goals in those matches. So our question to you is, how many goals will Josef Martinez end up with this season? Obviously, he set that record at 31 last year. He only has 6 games left. Can he break that record? Get down below and let us know how many goals you think the King is going to score.
But guys, that does it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.